Hi everyone, welcome back to Brookdale Farm. Well, it's time to have a look at this odd looking machine on the back of the Fordson that we moved the other day. This is a 1936 Sunshine Massey Harris reaper binder. So this cuts the crop, cuts the hay and binds it into sheaves. A sheaf is a bundle of hay that you can get both hands around, and it ties it, and you can then stack them into stooks to dry. Stooks are just a bundle of sheaves stacked standing up, and one of the major, or couple of major advantages with this is once they're stacked into stooks, they will actually dry even when they get rain on them. They don't go mouldy. The other major advantage for sheaf hay is that it produces better chaff. So there was somebody still using one of these machines over in York, which is about an hour's drive that way, until about 2010. So if we come and have a closer look, at the moment, as I said, it's in the transport position so that we can tow it that way. That makes it considerably narrower than pulling it the other way. So you can fit it through your gates and stuff like that. These windmill arms, when you're cutting hay, you're pulling it towards the camera. These windmill arms here rotate and push the hay into the cutters down here. So this goes backwards and forwards, and this is the knife section, and it cuts the crop off. There's then a conveyor belt on here which takes the crop up. There's actually 3 conveyor belts on this machine, one that goes around here and 2 more that take it up to the knotter, and it sort of squashes the crop between these 2 rollers here. And then round this side there is a knotter, and this knotter is almost identical to the knotter on modern balers. They really have not changed a lot. The driver sits up here, and my brother once described this machine as an upgrade for the Grim Reaper from the scythe, because you're balanced on this little wooden plank with all sorts of moving bits around you that look like you're going to fall into them. So you really do want to hang on. These machines were both made for use with a tractor, but also with horses. So this one has this funny little thing up here, and that is actually for the reins of the horses to hold them up high enough not to get tangled up in everything. So our job today is to take this from the transport position to the working position. So we've got 2 extra wheels, one on either side here. This is the main drive wheel in here that is normally on the ground. We've got to take the drawbar off this end and move it round to the front here, and it's a bit of an involved procedure to get all of this done. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that the big bull wheel underneath there is wound right up as high as it goes. So we've got a crank handle here. Oops, that's the wrong way. So yep, that one is right up, and the crank handle locks with a little tooth on there onto there to stop it vibrating down while we're in transport. Next we're going to unhitch the tractor and take the drawbar off. It's been a while since I've done this, so there's a little clip in here that we slide out, and this allows the drawbar to just drop down and come off. Once we've done that, we've got to take, I think we just take this, we wind the big bull wheel down, we take this transport wheel off, and they just slide out, and then the drawbar bolts on here. Once we've done that, this clips onto the drawbar to raise and lower the cutting bar on the machine. Once we've done that, the machine will tilt forward on the big bull wheel, and we can then take the wheel off the other side. So I'm going to set you up on the tripod now, and I'm going to make a start on all of those things. The other thing that we need to remember to do is to attach this wooden pitman arm under here onto the crank here. You've got to undo that to put the transport wheels on. It just doesn't quite fit if you leave it connected. Alright, I'll put you on the tripod and make a start of putting this in the operating position. Okay, so this is how it looks in its operating position. Now, one unusual thing about these machines is that the comb sticks out on this side. Just about every other machine made sticks out on the other side, which means you've got to go around the paddock in the opposite direction. No big deal, but it's just something that takes a little bit to get used to. I'm not going to put the canvases on today because I've still got to do a little bit of a repair to them. So if we climb up onto the seat, we can have a little bit of a look at what it looks like for the operator. Now, down here, we've got a little lever that puts the whole machine in and out of gear. This lever here changes our cutter height. This lever here changes our reeler height for different height crops. This little foot pedal here changes how far. It's just got itself stuck because I've come back too far, but changes how far forward and back the reeler sits. We've got this funny other little thing here, which isn't currently connected, but there is a sheaf tray off that side that collects the sheaves, and this foot pedal here dumps the sheaves in a pile on the ground. This lever here triggers it to tie a sheaf, and this lever here is to do with the way it packs the bottom ends of the sheaves. Now, something I was never very good at, I've never actually operated this machine from the seat. I've always done it by myself from, well, most of the time it was from a Willys Jeep we were pulling this with. But you should be able to balance the sheaves on the piece of string. So pick it up with one finger through the piece of string and your sheaf should balance. To do that, there is a lever here which moves your knotter backwards and forwards. That's why it was so heavy trying to get the drawbar on too. And this positions your sheaf differently so that it will tie it in the middle of the crop, the straw. Now, our other height adjustment is with this lever here on the big bull wheel. We can wind it down a little bit further Remembering to lock the handle in position so it doesn't fall off. And also this little wheel at this end also has a little hand winder on it, and this is to help balance your to make sure your cutter bar is level. And there is a little lock here too that you've got to make sure engages, otherwise it works its way down. Well, that's nice to have this machine more or less back together. I've got to do a bit of work to the canvases and a little bit of work on the knotter, but this has been in bits for a little while, and it's great to have it put back together and looking more the way it should look. I hope you've enjoyed this little look at our Sunshine Reaper binder, and hopefully sometime we can cut some hay with it. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!